Hello. Hi, Ramesh sir. Ramesh sir, you are on mute.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Great, yeah. I just saw your invite. I thought, let me come and join and figure out what you think.
I am very, very glad that you are because I'm keeping it only for an hour so that it's not
Okay,
too much on everybody's plate considering it's a holiday today.
sure.
Hopefully by the end of this today's session, which will be more like a feeler, we'll see whether how much more time would the participants want.
Okay.
Hi, Nalini ma'am.
Hi, how are you? So cute. A big hug.
How are you, Nalini ma'am?
All good, all good. After seeing your this, I couldn't stop myself. I said, oh, leave everything. I had to join Vishwa. Again, it's January.
Oh
You
yeah, it
remember?
is January. Yes, it's an entire. My God.
And again, the same dates, near to the same dates.
Whoa, that is so cool. That is so awesome. That's so true, actually.
Yes, exactly. So I thought I will not stop myself. At least I'll meet. You haven't shared with others?
I have shared with a few
Mm-hmm.
people. I'm not very sure how many because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'll introduce you to the main inspiration behind this workshop series, this three series workshop that I'm keeping. She hasn't joined
Okay.
yet, but
Okay.
she's the main participant who was like she has been hounding me. She's actually at Heritage right now. She's teaching at Heritage, and
Mm-hmm.
she's been after me to teach her how to teach global perspectives, and
Mm-hmm.
I just did not have the time. So finally I was like, you know what, before anything else, let's just like start it, because well begun is half done. So I just decided that I'll start with it. Hi
Yes.
Suvidha.
Hi, Vishwa. It is so good to see you. How are you doing?
Very, very well. It is so
I
cool.
can't tell you how happy I was to read that message that you are going to take this class, and GP is one of my curious subjects,
Curious
because my
subjects, I
son is
see.
studying it.
Oh,
And
I see.
thanks to Nishtha, I think she's pushed you enough
Yeah.
for,
Hi.
for
Hi,
all of us
everybody.
to,
Good afternoon.
benefit from it. Hi, Nishtha.
So, ladies and
Hi.
gentlemen, allow me to introduce the predetermined star or the host or the co-host of this session. It is Nishtha Chauhan. She is the one who has kind of been she's been asking for this for quite some time now, and I've
Yeah.
been I've been postponing it left, right, and center. But finally I was like, you know what, if I don't start now, I don't know when I'll start. And thankfully Nishtha is kind enough to not mind it being open to a larger audience where other people can also
Definitely
discuss.
no. Yeah, definitely
Uh,
no. Yes.
and
No worries for
Nishtha,
Thank
that.
you so much, Nishtha. Thank you so much for that.
You.
thank you Nishtha ma'am. And
Oh God.
Nishtha, Nishtha, you are among the company of some very interesting people here. Of course, I mean, Ramesh sir, you already know. Varun sir, you already know. Suvidha, you already know. So, like, there are people that you already know. And then there is Nalini ma'am, who's herself a master trainer. And then we are having a few people who are affiliated or associated to the Riverside Schools, Riverside Learning
Oh.
Center. So,
Oh, okay,
we are
okay.
kind of like, so I kind of floated it there as well. And
Okay.
yeah, the current head of
I
Riverside.
think gratitude to everybody. I think gratitude to everybody, especially Vishwa sir, for giving me this opportunity to be under the guidance of all present right now, from Nalini ma'am, Suvidha ma'am, Ramesh,
Thank
Varun
you.
sir,
Thank you so much.
everybody. Yeah, thank you so much.
My God, and I'm so happy to see that, there is enough people. Otherwise, I was thinking that we'll probably be like one, two people who will be there. But it's good. It's good to have a larger, a smaller but larger group than just one or two people. It allows for collaboration and group discussion. hopefully, this will also allow us the opportunity to know each other, outside of school. I think, we have enough conclaves and enough events for, corporate world, for HR, and for even for children. But we don't have enough. We have kitty parties in our societies, and we have satsang where we all go very regularly. But we don't have a satsang for educators from different schools. Within the school, there is still some amount of work that happens. But outside of school, I have not seen much of it. And I'm just glad that fortunately over the years, I've been able to accumulate some very nice and interesting people. Like Palak here. Palak is also here.
Hi.
And Nupur
Hi,
is
Vishwa.
here.
How's
Hi,
everyone?
hi,
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 everyone.
Palak. Finally, I see you. I've heard so much about you from Vishwa again
Okay.
last year,
Oh my
and finally
God.
I
For a
get to
cup
see
of
you.
coffee to discuss that.
We have discussed, yeah, we have discussed
Yeah.
Palak a lot. Palak, we have discussed a lot at great length. All right. So
Thank you.
I've just got a message that there might be one more person. Oh, there. Oh, okay. There are two more people. And both of them are,
Rohini is also joining.
I
Vishwa,
see.
Rohini is
All
also
right.
there.
Okay.
Archana is also joining.
Yeah, so we are having a few more people join, but I think we should start because today's session is only for an hour, and my hands are shaking slightly. If you can see, it's because I was like nervous about doing it for a larger audience. But
I don't trust you on that. No.
Oh, you ask Akansha, कितना मेरे को डर लगता था. Oh, Akansha will tell you. Even Palak will tell you how nervous I used to be before all of my sessions, including teaching. Even before I would go to a class, I would always be nervous. That's just, doing one thing for yourself is one thing. Doing one thing for everybody else, a larger group of people, is a completely different thing. We also have Sunaina ma'am here now. Sunaina ma'am has been very curious about how to approach global perspective. She is of course a master teacher herself. Some of you already know Sunaina ma'am. Sunaina ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, Vishwa. It's great to be here.
All right.
Wonderful.
So
I'm just looking forward to this.
yeah. So without much ado, while we might have a few people join in between, and but I'm going to try to let's begin with our session. Oh, Rohini is finally joining. Great. So we'll begin with the session right away. All right. So a formal welcome to all of you. Thank you so much to take the time out on a holiday to attend this mini introductory workshop on global perspectives. My approach to holidays is slightly different, especially holidays which are given by the government. People normally use this day to kind of, relax and let their hair down. My approach is, it's essentially how do you celebrate your independence, your freedom, your how do you exercise your right to free will. And one of the ways that we do that is by learning and so therefore I normally use my holidays to kind of learn something new, and the fact that all of you are here to learn something new with each other and with me is exciting for me. So thank you so much for doing that for me as well and for all of us here. All right, so we'll begin. Now, before we begin, allow me to tell you the success criteria for this particular series of workshop. So you will be having 3 workshops in total. Today's is the first one, and you'll have 2 more. Normally, the workshop would be for 1 hour, 15 minutes or 2 hours, between 1 hour, 15 minutes to 2 hours. That's essentially the time frame that I'm keeping for the workshop. So in essence, in a total of 5.5 hours, every single one of you has to be confident about teaching global perspectives. That's the takeaway that I have for myself. That's the highlight that I have for myself. Let's hope that I'm able to do that. But if I'm not, and if any of you need extra time or extra support, you all have my contact number now. You all know how to reach me, especially the ones who don't know me. So please feel free to WhatsApp me and let me know if there is anything that I can do. So the first criteria would be attending all 3 of the workshops. So today and the next 2. The second criteria would be to actually prepare and submit a rough. It doesn't have to be a detailed year plan, but a rough year plan. So you will have to, irrespective of whether you are teaching global perspectives right now or not, you have to imagine as though you are teaching global perspectives, and you have to create at least a rough plan of what your year will look like for global perspectives. So for your students. So these are the 2 takeaways that you would be getting, not just for yourself, but also for me. If you complete both of these, I would be very, very happy and very, very humble to offer you e-certificate of completion of the workshop. I know it doesn't really has any standing, but I make sure that I make it professionally and I design it nicely, and I email it to all of you, the ones who complete these 2 criteria. So that would be the takeaway. Fortunately, I now have my own company. It's called Schoolwallah Consultancy. So I can offer workshops and I can offer certificates. So you will be getting it under the aegis of Schoolwallah Consultancy, education consultancy. So that's with regards to the success criteria and what you'll be getting at the end of the workshop, these 3 workshops. There are few things that we will have to keep in mind. Of course, as teachers, especially ones who has been teaching online, or I'm sure all of you are already aware of these. But again, just to revise, I would encourage you to keep your devices connected at all times. You can keep your mic off, so you can turn off your mic, you can mute it, so that any external noise coming from your side doesn't really reach others and disturb the flow of the session. If there are any questions that you have at any point of time, you are very, very welcome to either type the questions in the comment section, or you can raise your hand, and I can finish my flow of thought, whatever I'm sharing, and then ask you for your doubt or your question. So those would be the key ideas that we'll keep in mind. You don't necessarily have to keep your cameras on at all times, or at all if you don't want to. If that makes you conscious, you don't have to. No one's going to force you for that. However, when you are asking a question or when you have something to share, it would be nice for all of us to see your faces, see your lovely, beautiful faces. So I would encourage that if that's something that you'd be comfortable doing. But again, that's completely your prerogative. You can decide. And finally, take active notes. Of course, you can take a screenshot of whichever screen you like from the presentation. If you want me to send the presentation to you later on, I don't hold any copyrights on the material that we are discussing today. So completely yours to take. You can take whatever part you want to, but the active idea of note-taking also allows for registering. And I think that's a key skill for us as teachers. We keep asking our students to do that. So might be a good idea for us to practice that, when we are doing these miniature workshops for our own learning and growth as well. Any questions as of now from anyone that you'd like to, or any thoughts that you'd like to share before I begin? If there are, you can raise your hand. I'll just open my chat as well in case there are any questions. All right. So I'm assuming there are no questions. So let me begin with a quick introduction. most of you know me. I've been in teaching for 13 years. I have very, very recently and very, very proudly completed my diploma from Harvard Business School. It's an online diploma, a 9-month diploma, very expensive, but totally worth it. This year, I've also taken the time to complete my master's in psychology. I already had a master's in English literature. And of course, as teachers, a lot of us are expected to do our B.Ed, and I did my BCom. So those are just few things about me that I think would be important, at least for the ones who don't know me, to know about me. All right. So let's quickly have a dialogue on what do we understand to be, when we hear of global perspectives, what do we understand of it? You can use the chat to type, or if you are more comfortable sharing, you can raise your hand and I can just take maybe a few responses and everybody else can type. So, and if I don't get any response, I'm going to start with my favorite student and then go in the order of my more and more favorite students. So, you'll have to kind of like, everybody would have to answer. So while I am assuming nobody's raising their hand right now, I see Archana also here. Hi, Archana. And Rohini has joined, and Ritu has joined, and Vidya has joined. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's awesome. All right, so we'll begin with Nishtha. Nishtha, when you listen to the word global perspective, what is something that comes to your mind?
Okay. So as a first, I will speak how students who've not studied GP, how they perceive global perspective. So they understand GP is something about searching, researching, going on Google, doing research, writing a report, and coming back. But actually, it's much more. GP is basically a subject in which we get exposed to the skills which are according to different global topics. So when we say research, it is just not Google, it's not doing the research, but it is much more. Like doing research will also include analysis, evaluation. So these all would come under the different topics.
Excellent. That is wonderful. Thank you so much, Nishtha. Now, I've had a few people sharing there on the chat. Now, like Vidya and Suvidha, it would be nice if you can share with everyone instead of sharing directly with me. That always helps with ensuring that, everybody is able to benefit from your thoughts and your feedback. So Ramesh sir is saying that it's basically going beyond borders, which is a very, very deeply philosophical idea. And something that we don't quite understand about global perspectives is that the moment the word perspective comes in a subject matter, it is about expanding your own vision and your own boundaries. Rabindranath Tagore said, that we are often broken down by narrow domestic walls, and the world is more divided now than it has been in the past. Fortunately, as teachers, all of us are here to kind of bridge the gap and build a more cohesive community, a sense of community in our students. And that happens only when students who are under RTE of your classroom, and students who pay the full fee, and students who come in cars, and students who come on a bicycle are all able to benefit equally and are all able to value each other in what they have to offer. So we are all essentially a jigsaw puzzle, and all of us are not here to compete with each other. We are here to complete each other. So my story is not complete without you, and your story is not complete without me. And that's the key understanding that I feel that global perspectives, at least at a value level, at the value level, that's what it tries to achieve. It tries to make students more aware of global issues and hopefully offer solutions to those problems. So the next one here is offer solutions. That's another thing that global perspectives is about, is an important aspect of global perspectives. And in the process, and I've got Suvidha ma'am has also shared how it impacts our lives. So the impact that these issues have on our lives and how we impact these issues as well. So it goes both ways. The circuit is not complete if it doesn't go from the external issue to me, and then from me to the external issue. So you have to look at the circuit as well. And that's a component that is also assessed in global perspectives, often ignored, but very important. So the idea of I'm just going to use completing the circuit. All right, completing the circuit of me and we. I'll just say that. I think that would be completing the circuit of me and we. Essentially that. Anything that any one of you would like to add to the points that I've stated? Is there anything that you feel I'm missing out that I should perhaps add here? You can raise your hand, please.
Vishwa, I mentioned explore solutions through cooperation and collaboration.
I love that. Absolutely. So explore solutions. So I'm going to write it here. Offer solution, explore solutions through collaboration, through a collective collaboration. And that is, again, a very, very important and integral part of global perspectives. Excellent. Thank you so much for that as well. So in total, it's just 3 workshops, every workshop being for 1 hour, 15 minutes, up to 2 hours. It's not going to be beyond 2 hours. And keeping that in mind, we are going to cover just the very basic of what global perspectives is about, as well as looking at the syllabus expectations and how do you design a lesson plan for your students to ensure academic success in global perspectives as a subject. Because at the end of the day, you can have great ideas and you can be great researchers as teachers, but essentially all of those skills and competencies have to get transferred to the students in a manner that it allows for academic success as well. Because that's what a lot of schools are looking for. That's what a lot of parents are going to be looking for. So we have to look at both. We have to try to balance global perspective along with ensuring academic success for students as well. So that's essentially that we will be doing. We'll be covering in these 3 workshops that we'll be a part of collectively. And at the end of the workshop, each of you should ideally go back with one teaching plan, a year-long teaching plan for your for how you would teach global perspectives. Hopefully that would also give some of you the confidence of going back to your academic in charges and heads of schools and inform them that, you know what, you have a DHASU plan ready with you and you would like to give it a shot and become a global perspectives teacher. And once they see your plan, hopefully they will take you on board, and maybe that will be something that can be another option that you can explore. So with that in mind, let's begin with global perspectives. So the global perspectives, when we are looking at global perspectives, we are looking at global perspectives strictly, well, at least as of now, we are looking at global perspectives strictly from the point of view of Cambridge Board. We are not looking at global perspectives as a larger subject domain. We are looking at global perspectives as something which is taught in Cambridge, is a subject for grade 9 and in grade 10. you have 2 years to complete global perspectives. At the end of those 2 years, you have to appear for your exam of global perspectives. Now, the focus of the IGCSE curriculum, it's the CAIE curriculum, but most of us know it as IGCSE curriculum. The focus of IGCSE curriculum, which happens in 9th and 10th, and the exit exam for that happens at the end of grade 10, has global perspectives as one of the subjects. Global perspectives focuses on skill, not knowledge. All right, so that's the first thing. The 5 key things that are being assessed in the case of global perspectives, especially with regards to Cambridge, is a student able to create, project, and do research? So that's the first thing. Second is explore independent line of thought by himself or herself on global, national, and local issues. So those are some of the case studies that you'll be taking. It has to be driven individually and in groups. So there is an individual component and then there is a group component. So those are the 2 key components under which they have to look at, project, and research to explore independent line of thought on global, national, local, and personal issues. So that's essentially the premise of global perspectives. That is why it matters so much for especially for our students in the time that we live in. The exam expectation is divided into 3 main parts. The first part is a written exam, which is going to be for 70 marks. There is going to be an independent report that a student has to write. The independent report is going to be for 60 marks. And then you are going to have group project. A group of 4 to 5 students will come together, decide on one topic, and identify global, national, local / personal issues related to that topic. And that's going to be a group project that they will be doing. It's these 3 things that you have to prepare your students for in a total duration of 2 academic years, year 9 and year 10. Any questions as of now? If you have, you can raise your hand before we progress, before we proceed. All right, I'm guessing that there are no questions, so I shall move forward. All right, so let's do the first 2 tasks first, because a lot of teachers have this issue, and ultimately it's your resourcefulness as a teacher that is going to guide you in once you are done with this workshop also. So first things first, we have to look at navigating the Cambridge website. Now, how many of us know how to navigate the Cambridge website, Cambridge board website, to reach global perspectives subject? If you do, raise your hand, please. Sunena ma'am, would you be able to help us with that? I'm sorry, I'm a very bad person. I'm so habituated to cold calling in class that I end up doing that with adults also. I hope that's okay. But I'm hoping if Sunena ma'am would be able to show us how subjects are navigated.
I'm sorry, I am totally clueless here.
All right, okay. Is there anyone else who'd be aware of that? All right, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so allow me to introduce you to the website. I'm sure some of you might have already gone to the website as well, but it's important again for all of us to be able to witness the website, behold the website. All right, so all you have to do is go on your browser screen. So you don't have to do it right now. I'm going to be doing it for you, but ultimately that's how you navigate the website to reach different subjects within the Cambridge board offerings. So the easiest way would be to type cie.org.uk. That's the short form of the website. And that takes you to Cambridge Assessment International Education. And this is where I would make the first correction as a teacher. Oftentimes I've heard teachers use that I teach the IGCSE board. Well, technically speaking, you are not teaching the IGCSE board. You are teaching the IGCSE examination if you are teaching 9th and 10th. So you are teaching the IGCSE, you are teaching for the IGCSE examination, but you are teaching the CAIE board or the Cambridge International Board. So it's just a small nomenclature, but again, goes a long way. You know, we're all professionals here, and it's important for us to know the correct terminologies to use. So therefore, trivia for all of you to, you know, hopefully remember and use when you are teaching Cambridge Board. Now, when you go onto the website, there is programs and qualifications. You go onto the programs and qualifications, and then because 8th and 9th is called the IGCSE board, or the IGCSE examination, you have to click on IGCSE. Now, once you go to the IGCSE page, it will show you curriculum and subjects right below. In some cases, I've seen that this is closed. So you might have to click here to open the drop-down menu. I've seen that happen. And then after that, you go on to subjects. Now, these are all the subjects that Cambridge offers. Now, your school might not offer all of these subjects in grade 9 and 10. But essentially, these are the subjects for which your students can appear either as independent candidates or as part of a school. So sometimes school offers French. In other cases, school does not offer French, but that does not mean that a child cannot appear for the French examination, French IGCSE examination. A student can do that as an independent candidate. That's what it's called. So while doing other subjects in school. So in most cases, Global Perspectives is offered in 8th, 9th, and 10th. So you have to go down all the way to G, and under G, you will see Global Perspectives right here. Now, when you click on Global Perspectives, it will take you to this page. This is your Mecca or your Rishikesh. I mean, decide whatever, you know, or your Rome, you know, whatever you want, the Vatican. This is the place. If you are the IGCSE teacher, it will be very important for you to constantly keep referring to this particular page. Now, this page has a few things which are very critical. If you go down, it will show you all the syllabuses which are being offered currently. So currently, there are certain students who might be appearing for 2020, that is the last years, technically, this academic years. And so therefore, in case they are repeating their exam, or in case they decided to delay their exam, they will be appearing for this particular syllabus. If there are students who are applying for this year, they will be appearing for this one. If they're applying for the consecutive next 2 to 4 years of exit examination, IGCSE Global Perspectives, they will have to appear for this one. This is where all the source of your information is available. Everything you need to know. If you are deciding to teach grade 9 this year, this academic year, the coming academic year, then you will have to go to this particular page, take a print of this entire thing and read it while you take notes. Take notes on the paper itself, keep going back to this particular document. It is a 30-page document. And at least I found, the first time I was teaching Global Perspectives, I found this document ponderous. It was exhausting for me to go through the entirety of the document and understand the gist of it. And that is something that I've constantly felt and heard from a lot of other global perspectives teachers. They don't quite know how to navigate this document. Even if they have access to this document, they don't know how to navigate this document. By the end of these 3 workshops, this workshop series that I am conducting, you will be able to understand and navigate through this particular 30-pager and keep coming back to it, because syllabus might change almost every 2 to 4 years. Now, when that happens, there are some minute changes that happens in the paper, in the exam expectations. And that's why it's important for you to ensure that you keep referring to this document again and again. The latest document should be something that you have access to, you have taken a printout of, and you are annotating and keeping with you. So the source of this particular workshop series is actually based on this document that I just showed. If any of you want me to download and send you this document, you can send me your email ID later via WhatsApp or any other electronic forms, and I'll be happy to send that to you as well. All right. Any questions as of now? All right, so I'm assuming no questions still, which is fine. Nishta, do you have any questions?
Not at this moment, Vishwa.
No? Okay, that's good to know.
So Vishwa, I would though like to say that I found a shorter route to the Mecca.
Now, this is where we come to the crux of what Global Perspectives is all about. On this one page, you have all the information that you have to deliver to your students. Okay, so as I told you before, there are a total of 3 aspects of Global Perspectives as a subject. So in 2 years' time, you have to prepare them for a written exam. You have to prepare them for an individual report that they have to write, and you have to prepare them for a team project. They have to be prepared for the written exam at the end of grade 10. And the individual report and team project are 2 things that they will be doing over the course of 2 years. A lot of times what happens is that the teacher waits till grade 10 to start the individual report work or the team project work. Ideally, I would suggest that at least one of these 2 should be completed in the first half, that is in grade 9 itself, so that you can focus a little more on preparation for the exam, the kind of questions that come in Global Perspectives exam, written exam paper, as well as the other part, which is either the report or the project, whichever part you have left, that you can do in grade 10. So try to complete at least some part of the report and project in grade 9 itself, and then continue with the same idea in grade 10. It's not advised to start a completely new topic in grade 10 because students have to go deep into whatever they decide their topic to be, either individually or as a team. And that is why it's so critical for students to be able to, stay with the idea for a long enough time. Global Perspectives would also give you the opportunity to take them for visits, take them out of school, meet other people, meet end users of whatever topic they are deciding on. So it also allows for a lot of other, which is normally called, character development or extracurricular activities. But all of that can also be incorporated within Global Perspectives for grade 9 and 10, especially considering the fact that most of them are preparing for their exit exams, the IGCSE exam for English, math, sciences, and other subjects. Global perspectives becomes a respite for them. Students look forward to global perspectives precisely because it allows them the opportunity to work in smaller groups, to have a self-directed, self-paced style of learning. And teachers by default are not the sage on stage. They are the guide on side. Your job is to facilitate in global perspectives. Your job is not to teach them anything. Maybe a little bit of teaching might be needed in grade 9, but by grade 10, your students should be able to do most of the work simply by the framework that you offer to them. You'll offer them a framework and they will work within the framework, but within that framework, within that set of creative constraints that you keep for them, they will make their decisions and they will make their calls and do their projects. So as I said before, written exam is going to be for 70 marks. It is a total of 1 hour and 15-minute exam that they will have to appear for. The paper code for that exam is 0457. Again, very important for all of you to remember, especially those who are deciding to consider global perspectives for their students in grade 9 and 10. Remember that just like for English language, English is first language, the paper code is 0500. And that's something that any English teacher would remember. Similarly, as global perspectives teachers, you will have to remember the paper code as well. The paper code is 0457. That's the paper code. Now, the written exam is based on a wider set of topics and case studies. So consider the written exam to be more like a reading comprehension paper, but instead of asking questions related to writer's effect and word meaning, the questions are more focused on selecting, comparing, looking at the case studies objectively and proposing solutions, proposing the best of 2 or 3 solutions which are given in the reading material. So global perspectives written paper has a lot of reading material. Students will have to read through the material and then go through a series of questions which will assess their ability to think. Now, that is where a lot of students will turn around and tell you that their answer is correct and the answer that is given in the marking scheme is incorrect. And you will have a lot of back and forth with the students to get them to understand why the option selected in the marking scheme is more apt compared to the answer that they think to be correct. But again, that's the idea of global perspectives. The idea of global perspectives is to frame right kind of mindset, right kind of choices. So when a subject matter, when a reading document or a paper on the reading material that they get has multiple options to choose from, they have to select the best option from the information given in the reading material itself. A lot of Indian students do not get to prepare for that. Because in math and science, there is a very result-oriented approach that is taken. So the ability to be able to compare and contrast multiple options and to arrive at the best suitable option, the most suitable option, is something that most students are not used to. This is what you are preparing them for in all 3 aspects of the global perspectives paper. So the first one being written examination. Now, in the written examination, you'll have case study based responses that students will have to answer. They will be higher order thinking, hot based, reflective, informational, or contextual questions only. It will not ask for information and facts. It will ask for information in relation to either a situation or a circumstance. That is what they will ask for. Of course, we will be going through past papers as well, so that we can decide and design sample papers for our students as well. So we will cover that in the later part of the workshops, the next two workshops. The second part of global perspectives is a 60-mark individual report. Now, there is already a pre-selected list of larger topics. Students can individually select what topic they want to write their report on. It is not necessary for the teacher to give only one topic and say, इसी topic पे सारे students research करेंगे. That's not necessary. Although in grade 9, in the very beginning, if you want to give them a small case study to do, which the whole class has to do, just to get a hang of how report writing is done and how research is done, you can do that. But once that is done, you have to offer them the list of topics from which they need to select what topic they want to research on and write their report on. Now, this report that they write has to be of a total of 2,000 words. That's the word limit. It cannot be more than 2,000 words. In those 2,000 words, the student has to write about what they have uncovered through research, what they have understood through research about a personal aspect, a local/national aspect or case study, and one global. So they have to look at the same topic. For example, if they are looking at poverty, they will have to look at poverty from the point of view of personal, step 1. Step 2, they have to look at their immediate surroundings. So that can be local, either within the state or within the city, or it can be within the nation. So that's the second case study that they have to prepare. The third case study they have to prepare has to be of something which is of a global level. So poverty and the effect of poverty, on a global scale. So they might have to look at one aspect under poverty for each of these three things, and then write a case study for all three of them. So that's the individual report. When it comes to teamwork, which is going to be for 70 marks, there is again another set of pre-selected topics, another set of larger pre-selected topics. I'll show them to you in a minute. A student has to write, they have to submit their team project along with a 1,300 word document which will talk about their contribution to the group. What did they do for the group? So that would be the first aspect that they will have to look at. And the other aspect of that is going to be if the team was able to accomplish something, uncover an understanding, complete a project. It can even be a project. You can get your students to either start an entrepreneurship program. You can get them to do an art installation. You can get them to create a radio show or a podcast. There are several things that you can do. Now, in the process of creating that product, they will also be undergoing a lot of things. They will have to interview a few people. They will have to go for external visits outside of school. You will have to call a few experts of that particular domain, of that topic, to your school and get that interaction between that group of student and the expert. So the expert might not talk to the entire class. The expert will talk to only that group of students who are taking that particular topic. So you will have to have multiple experts looking at multiple issues, multiple topics. Finally, I have someone raising their hand. Yes, Suvida ma'am.
So my question was that calling of an expert is done by the students or the teacher assists?
Ideally, it should be done by the teacher in grade 9. And by grade 10, students should be able to find their own experts, get in touch with them, and invite them to school or go to them. Either way. You know, either the expert can come to school or they can go to the expert along with the teachers or along with a parent volunteer. It can be any of that. Again, we miss out on that as an opportunity also a lot of times in schools. Ultimately, you know, we think that everything is on teachers and teachers have to, you know, kind of orchestrate everything. Teachers have to enable students to take charge of their learning. Now, in order to do that, the teacher is going to show them the way. So maybe in grade 9, in the first, say maybe first 3 months of your teaching, you will probably encourage them to draft an email, the email that you will send on behalf of them to say maybe an expert, call the expert in, maybe have the expert come in online for an online session. So you will do things like that in the beginning. Eventually, you want them to be able to do their own research, find the suitable experts, come back and tell you why they selected that expert. Because that is also something that they have to write in their team project, in the write-up, the 1,300 word write-up that they'll be writing. They have to write why they selected those experts also. It gives weightage to their research. You know, it shows that they are thoughtful individuals, that they have done their bit of research to even invite people. The other benefit of that also is that when they apply to universities after grade 11 and 12, you know, and, you know, this is a skill that they will need. You know, these days, you want your students to be able to research the wealth of content and find out who the curators of those content are and get those people in, get their attention. We don't know how to get attention of people who are at, you know, for example, if I ask you to get in touch with PG Woodhouse today, what kind of email would he be most likely to reply to is not something that we talk about. You know, that kind of for that, a student has to have some insight on people and how people operate. So how would you write to a writer versus a businessman versus a fellow teacher versus an army man? You know, each of them are a different, each of them require a different style of conversation. You know, with me, if you're talking to me, you can be like, yo, Vishwa, what's up? And I'll be fine. But, you know, if you're going to a principal of a school, of a conventional school, you will probably have to be like, hello, ma'am, nice to meet you, pleasure to see you. If you go there and say, yo, what's up? She's probably not going to entertain you at all or believe that you are a teacher for that matter. So it's that, you know, and we need to transfer that to our students. The sooner, the better, right? Any other questions with regards to what is expected from the paper?
Hi, Vishwa. Not
Hi,
really
Vishwa.
from the paper.
Yes.
When have you started calling me ma'am, and you're also calling Suvida ma'am? That sounds strange. So, Vishwa sir, my my question is like coming from a space where I have no knowledge about global perspective. So, pardon me with that. All I want to ask is, do teachers provide opportunities to students to collaborate with students of other schools or students of schools from abroad? How does it work? Because this need perspectives of other students from all over the world. I don't know if I'm thinking it right. So
you are absolutely. So there are two ways that you can do that. One, of course, is that you can get associated with MUNs and a lot of other organizations that do MUNs, moot courts, and public speaking, like Toastmasters. You get in touch with those organizations. because these organizations almost always have a bank of people that they keep inviting, and they're all prolific writers, subject experts, researchers, PhD holders. They have a group of people that they bank on. So knowing your local community of book clubs, Toastmaster Association, even parents for that matter, knowing the profile of the profile of the parents of the entire school. On all schools, ask the profession of the parents. When the student is applying for the admissions. Unfortunately, we don't use it. Now imagine if you can go to the administrative in charge and ask the administrative in charge, bhai mere ko sare doctorates, all the PhD holders, I want a list of all the PhD holders. And then you talk to some of those PhD holders and try to figure out if you can find someone related to that topic and get that parent in. Now, similarly, if there is a child who's coming from a particular background, you can bring that family in, either a religious background or a socioeconomic background. You can get the parents or get the family of that child in. It doesn't have to be of the same class also. It can be any student of the school. Ultimately, when we stand in assemblies and we talk about the school being a community, it is a community because we are able to pull off from each other. There is an external memory that is there, external collaborative resource that we all offer to each other, right? And this global perspectives is one short opportunity for you to tap into those resources. So that's the first aspect of it. The other aspect that you can look into is that there is a website, there is a sister website of Cambridge, which is called Teacher Support. So if you just Google CAIE Teacher Support, it will automatically show you the very first link for the Teacher Support website. Now, the Teacher Support website has a lot of resources for all the subjects created by a lot of teachers like us. So say, for example, if you made a paper on global perspectives, and if you think it's a good paper, you will upload it through your link on the platform so that other teachers can benefit from it and give feedback. Similarly, you can look at other teachers' sample question papers, test papers, case studies that they have used. You can look at that as well. The same website also has all the profile of teachers in it. So you can easily go to the teachers who are teaching global perspectives of any school, of any other school, reach out to that teacher directly, send a mail to that teacher and ask that teacher, would you like to collaborate? And then get that teacher in. And then your school and the other school can collectively work. Your grade and the other school's grade can work together on an idea. That is totally something that you can do. Ritu ma'am, does that
Great.
help?
Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Quite an insight. I mean, just adding on to another question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you said teacher is a facilitator. What does teacher need to prepare, or I would say, what is the eligibility criteria for a teacher to go ahead and teach the subject? I mean, the teacher has to be updated on most of the issues happening in the world. Where does teacher go and update herself before she, gets into it? So another question.
That's again a very good question. So before I answer this question, allow me to take you to the next page. These are the topics on which you as a teacher will have to keep yourself updated. I know it's exhaustive. It might seem a little daunting to some of you, but welcome to being a global perspectives teacher. Again, I would restate that you don't have to be experts in biodiversity, how communities change, how digital world functions, about how families function. You don't have to be experts in each of these topics. What you do need is to have the resourcefulness to enable your students to go further in these topics. And as you teach more and more, the more number of years you have taught global perspectives, the wider the kind of topics your students have selected, either under independent report or under group project. The more they have covered, the more knowledge you will also have. So you don't have to look at yourself as a subject expert in any of these domains or topics. What you do have to look at yourself is a networker, a taxonomist, someone who a facilitator. Basically, those three would be the keywords that you'll have to look at. And the fourth thing would be being a critical thinker, because all of these topics are so subjective. For example, if I look at, one question that I often hear is, where does conflict and peace begin and where does belief system end? Isn't belief system related to conflict and peace? Isn't biodiversity related to health? Biodiversity and ecosystem loss related to health and disease? Isn't education for all related to, say, human rights? And that's the thing. While all of these things are related to each other, how do you guide your students to arrive at one key question that they will be researching on, and then further going deeper and deeper into it, to take one case study or to create one case study about something that they have done or that they know better about in their personal life, something that they know better about in their local, national level life, and something that they know more about, understand more, propose solutions for at a global level. So these are the three steps that you have to get students to do. The students in their report and in their group project will also be putting citations, will be putting photographs of their visits. They will have to maintain a logbook of all of the websites that they have researched, the amount of hours of research that they have done to arrive at their topic. So all of those things will also be a part of their report that you will be sending as an annexure to your independent report and group project. Because independent report and group project are also assessed externally. All three of these things are assessed externally. So students will prepare the independent report and group project. They will be titled in a certain way. There is a format for it. I can tell you the format. It's not that difficult. They will then send it. You will then send it to the examination board. The examination board will look at it and then give marks for it. Now they will ask you for your marks also. So you will internally assess the students, but the internal assessment that you do will be then open to scrutiny by the board, by the Cambridge board. So the Cambridge International Board will look at your assessment and then look at a few samples of the work that students have submitted, try to calibrate all the marks to the few case studies that they picked up, the few random case studies that these examiners decided to pick up. That is how they assess these three things. Written exam, of course, is mark-based. That's easier. The independent report and the group project is assessed like that. All right, now I know that, or I'm hoping that there are a few more questions right now, but I would like for you to look at these topics, please. Now, these are the topics that are going to come under each of these parts of global perspectives. And I still remember when I started teaching global perspectives, the very first year, I was 23 or 24 at that time. And I was nervous because I just did not know the head or tail of it. I was like, क्या करना है यही समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. And that is where these topics helped me. So what I did, and it worked, but if some of you have a few other ways that we can approach each of these heads, please share that so we can learn from each other. For written exam, what I would do is I would get short articles, really good articles and short stories for the students, and I would relate it to either demographic change or education for all or employment or fuel and energy. I would get them short articles, and I would give the articles to them, and I would ask them to summarize the article, summarize their understanding of the articles that I give them. So every week I will give them one to three articles, depending on the length and the density of the article. Every year I would give them every week I'll give them a few articles, and they had to have a notebook, and in that notebook they had to write the title of the article that I had given and write a short summary of what they understood from the article. What that did was it allowed them to build a general understanding of each of these topics, because these topics are exhaustive, and until and unless our students are not reading about it on a regular basis, they will not be able to appear for the exam properly. So you have to get them to read through different kinds of historical articles, research articles, and published newspaper and magazine articles on all of these topics. So that was my approach to prepare them regularly for the written exam. In terms of independent report and group project, it's a slightly different ball game. I will be covering it in the next few sessions, not in this session right now, but we will be going through that as well in the next two sessions. So there I'll tell you how independent report and group project can also be incorporated, and what steps do you have to take to enable your students to create an independent report, and what steps do you have to take to facilitate your students in group project. So those two would be the other things that we'll also be covering in the next two sessions. Any questions as till now, as yet?
Vishwa, do these topics keep rotating, or is it like fixed under these silos only? Meaning
they keep changing.
They interchange.
They keep changing. They keep changing. Originally, in the very beginning, when I started teaching 10 years back, they had all of these topics, the component 2 and component 3 के अंदर जो topics है, all of these topics were under one big head. It was under one thing. And you could pick any topic for independent report, you could pick any topic for group project. But one thing that they've changed over the course of the last 10 years is that they have further demarcated and divided what kind of topics can come for each of these heads. So under written exam, these are the topics. Under independent report, whatever topic your student picks up, decides to write on. For example, under belief system, your student takes, the role and position of women in Marwadi families. Maybe that's something that he takes under belief systems. All right. And then starts looking at the Marwadi community, again, personal level, local level, or national level, the Marwadi community and the women of Marwadi community, and then start looking at the international movement of Marwadi community and how they are, what they do and what's the role of women in those places, along with which experts they are talking to, photographs of them meeting the experts, them going to Marwadi families and seeing how they live, doing a mini research on the festivals that are important to Marwadi families, things like that. So that could perhaps be one example. So it will be that specific in independent report. In a group project, you will simply look at traditional families. If, for example, you have to look at, say, human rights, or if you have to look at tradition, culture, and identity, you can take that one topic that the group can take is role of women in traditional Indian families. So it will become slightly more generic. Now, under that topic, one student will look at the role of women, like across, like role of women, who are, say, maybe working part-time but not full-time. Another student will look at role of women specific to Marwadi community. A third group will look at women who are kind of like the breadwinners of the family. So again, in traditional families, families in traditional societies, how are different roles, women playing different roles within their own spaces, and each of the student will kind of bring in one part of the jigsaw puzzle that will make the whole of the group project, the 70-mark project. That's how they will be looking at these two topics. As a teacher, you will be enabling students for these two topics. There is no way to prepare for global perspectives. There are certain workshops that are offered by Cambridge International. You can attend those workshops, and they will give you a guidance of what you need to do. But without those workshops also, if you go through the syllabus that I just shared with you before I started my workshop, if you just go through the document and the sample past papers that are given on the cambridgeinternational.org website, you will be able to understand and take it on your own as well. But if you do want to get certified from Cambridge board, you can attend any of these workshops. Most of these workshops are around 8,000 rupees. Some schools provide they will probably reimburse the amount or will pay 50% of the fees. You might have to go to Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, any of these like cities to attend these workshops. They are normally for 2 to 4 days, depending on which facilitator is taking the workshop. These workshops are for 2 to 4 days. So if it's for 2 days, it'll probably be for 8 hours every day, very intense, very focused. If it's a four day, then it'll probably be for 4 to 5 hours every day. And they will kind of like take it like that. So you can attend those workshops. What you will have to do is go through the cambridgeinternational.org website and then sign up for their newsletter, because they keep sending these periodical newsletters. And in that newsletter, they also provide information with regards to what workshops are being conducted. Currently, most of the workshops are happening online. Again, about 8,000 rupees, happening every day. You have to start from morning till afternoon, evening. But again, very, very useful workshops. So I would recommend you, if possible, to take them at least at some point in your lifetime if you want to like really prepare yourself as a global perspectives teacher. So that's with regards to the overview. Now we are almost done with this session. Now I have to give you a task actually 2 tasks before we close this session. So if there are any questions that you have right now with regards to what we have covered so far.
I'm just curious to know, would the learning strategies, would it be different? Because GP, if you see, is little different. It's it's not content heavy. However, it's more very specific to skill. So would the strategies be also be different when you compare it to other subjects, or would they be?
Absolutely. So it is easier for you to divide the curriculum into months and divide subject topics and place them in your 9-month year at a glance that you'll be making for grade 9 and for grade 10, and it's incremental, right? That's how other subjects approach their year at a glance lesson planning that they do for the entire year. But for global perspectives, that's not going to be the case. While for the written exam, you will be giving them regular practice, either by preparing your own papers or by giving them reading materials and asking them critical questions and things like that. For independent report and group work, they will have to, each group will work at their own pace. Each group will have their own dynamic that they will use when they're working in groups. And so therefore, it is not uncommon for global perspective teachers to have 2 block sessions a week. Especially I'm fortunate to know a few global perspectives teachers from US, and one of them told me that in her school, the timetable for grade 9 and 10 is such that she gets a block period. She gets 1 block period, and then there is a 2-day break, after which she gets another block period. And then there is again a 2 to 3 day break. So what happens is, in those 2 in that 1.5 hour, in effect, that the teacher is getting with the students, you are able to get them to work on their independent reports. They will sit on their laptops in your class. Some groups will be working on their group work. Others will be working on their independent report. You will probably not take your sessions in the classroom. You will probably take your sessions either in the library or in the activity room or out in the open. You'll take them to places where the physical barriers of movement are not constricted, so that they can flow and ask each other for help and work together. So the classroom of a global perspective teacher is very different from all the other subjects. And that is why it's so exciting. That is why it's so exciting to teach global perspectives, because it allows you to be yourself as a teacher. That वो जो knack होती है ना teacher की, there is this, when you have a very good session, when you come out of that session, you feel like elated. You feel, I had a good session today. You have that for all the sessions. That's how global perspectives is. And that is why it's so exciting. So, I hope I was able to answer your question, at least some of it. Yeah. So be ready to ask the parents to send their laptops to school on the days that you have global perspectives. Be ready for them to have internet access in school. You will have to kind of push those boundaries in your school if they are taking global perspectives. Otherwise, they will at best score a B. They will never score an A or an A star, because they need that. They need that along with each other and along with you in the class. They need that. They will need it. Yeah, so that's less for heritage teachers, because I know that they are, or conscript school and teachers, because I know that they have a slightly more flexible environment. But for those who belong to schools which are slightly more conventional, they will have to consider that as well. Suvida ma'am?
I was trying to visualize how the year begins for the students and of course for the teacher also. So I see that there are 3 sections. There's a written exam, independent report, and a group project, which I will be, as a teacher, dividing it between 2 years, 9th and 10th. So how am I starting this? I mean, am I giving the choice of topics to the students to prepare them for the written exam first? And then simultaneously, am I giving them for an independent report? Or is it like one chunk first and then the second one begins and rolls over into the second year? And how does it happen?
How I can tell you how I like doing it. Of course, there can be another way that you can maybe uncover, and maybe that will work well with you. But what I would do is, I would do the first component, the written exam component, throughout the course of the 2 years. All right. They will have one monthly test for, which is a written exam that they will be doing every month. It will just be a 45, 50-minute to 1 hour paper. And then, of course, when they have their half yearlies and finals, they will be sitting for 1 hour, 15-minute paper. So I'll do that on a regular basis with my students, also giving them the opportunity to come back to me and argue with me and discuss with me that why did I not consider the solution that they offered to be the best solution. Because some of them will come back to you. So you will need that one-on-one time or small group time with the students also. So that will be the first aspect that I'll do continuously through the period of these 2 years. In most cases, if you are a Cambridge board school, Global Perspective starts in grade 8. If Global Perspectives is starting in grade 8 in your school, then it's a good idea to start with the first component in grade 8 itself. Children are as smart as we allow them to be. We often undermine our students. So, if you give them the opportunity to explore, to think, to kind of go think out of the box, propose solutions to problems, they will be able to show a reasonable amount of that in grade 8, 9, and 10 as well throughout. So you can start this in grade 8 or at least in grade 9, and then throughout grade 9 and then in grade 10. In terms of independent report and group work, what happens is that you will probably decide on doing one first. So you will do the independent report. You will get the students to complete the independent report. And while they are revising and updating and improvising and improving their independent report, they will start their group work. Because some students will write a near perfect report, in the very first draft that they send you. Other students will need hand holding, not just in terms of, and the other thing is, independent report and group work is timed. Both of these aspects are timed, which means that the issue of grammar, sentence structure, those issues cannot creep into your report as well as your project, because you're typing it, you have autocorrect. So they do not expect you to make those mistakes as well. So to correct it, to get the students to find the evidences, make sure that they have a research log that they are maintaining at all times. All of those things will take your effort and practice, which has to continue like over the period of the 2 years. So part 1, you will have to conduct throughout. You can get over with either the independent report or the group project in one go first. Once you are done with that, you can then focus on the next one while revising on the independent report or the group work, whatever was completed before. Yeah. Anishta, you had a question.
Not exactly a question. I just wanted to share just so that everybody also gets a little idea. So I am teaching grade 6 right now. I do understand. So it's more of a structured approach in the senior classes like 9th and 10th. However, in heritage, we try to prepare them much younger. So we start GP in grade 6th, and all which you've discussed, like for example researching and even citation, bibliography. So we do it at a very mellow kind of a level, but yes, they are exposed to it. So for example, written examination, it happens in both the terms. So it will happen in term 1, term 2. However, one of the component, which is like for example IR, which is an independent, we might do it in term 1, and again in term 2 we'll again be going to written exam. However, this time instead of an IR, we would take up a team report. So like that, in grade 6 the child will be exposed to both IR as well as to a team project, and obviously he or she would be exposed to the written examination. So that's how we are preparing them for the higher standards.
That makes a lot of sense. Also because this style of teaching, this structure of teaching is also related to the IB board. The IB board has a lot of other subjects, including the sciences, which has element of report writing and research, which is not there in Cambridge board. I mean, it's there in other exams, but not the exams that most Indian schools take. So, and that is why if there are some students in your school who will be taking IB after 8th, or in 8th onwards, then it might make more sense to you to actually start global perspectives much sooner in your school, just like Heritage does. So that's a very, very valid point. Thank you so much, Nishtha ma'am, for saying that. The reason why I say ma'am to all of you is because we are in a formal setting and we are all professionals here. And I want to give the respect to all of you to, as teachers, I kind of like that. Of course, when you call me, then I'll call you by your name. No problem with that. But independent forums like this, academic forums, make sense, All right. So the 2 tasks, I've already stretched my time. So I'll quickly go through the 2 tasks that you have to do. The first task is you have to look at these topics. I'll be sending these topics to you. You have to look at these topics and identify one issue which is personal at an individual level, one which is the same individual issue that you have at a local, national level, and again, an individual issue that you have at a global level. So for example, it can be personal level, the dressing style, how I'm constantly corrected by my family for what I wear, or the expectation that people have for me for cooking, that I have to cook food every day. That's just an expectation that has been topified on me, not because I want it, but by virtue of me being who I am. So it can be something as personal as that also. So that is something that you'll be writing at individual and personal level. Individual, local and national level, try to make that issue slightly bigger and look at it from the point of view of a group of women, and how there are certain kind of stereotypes that are projected or enforced upon a group of women. For example, a lot of teachers, female teachers, are expected to take care of the house and work for 12 hours a day, whereas their husbands might not. And that's kind of like a pain point for a lot of, at least teachers that I know. So maybe that's an issue that you want to kind of state right here. And similarly, at an individual level, when you look at the global, you can look at the individual issue from a global lens. What trend or pattern do you see? Can you then articulate that trend or pattern into your own words? For example, it can be something about France saying no to wearing a hijab, wearing a burqa in public spaces. That can be one global issue. It's a very specific thing. It's a very specific case study that you have picked, but it is related to a global issue. So it can be something like that also. Similarly, when you look at yourself as a group of people, say, for example, you look at your family unit in relation to your neighborhood. What are the things that people perceive about you that seem to be problematic, either for you or for someone that you know? It can either be your grandmother or maybe somebody else. So when you're looking at yourself in a slightly larger audience. Now, similarly, you have to look at the team and then try the same exercise as an individual. The reason why I have given individual twice after the team is because when I have done this exercise, my second individual topic was normally far more specific than the first one. I think it's just the academic rigor. It's like sharpening a pencil. The first time you are writing the individual part and you are looking at 3 possible case studies or 3 possible trends, and you are kind of highlighting that, writing that here, it becomes a little you are still kind of like looking at it from a slightly broader perspective. But by the time you look at the team and then come back to individual, you will see that the topic that you pick is going to be far more refined and specific. All three: individual, whether it's something about your own; individual, something that when you look at yourself in relation to either your locality or your nation; or individual when you look at yourself again, and then kind of expand the view. What we had one of you share, Ramesh sir said, no, expanding your boundaries, expanding your view. You expand your view and then you look at the global issue. But from the same standpoint of the individual issue that you had written here, you simply expand the view. You don't change your perspective. You expand the view. I know it's a little complicated, but try to do it. We'll discuss it. We can have a back and forth about it after this session once you have written these down. Hopefully and then I can help you refine it, and that I think will probably get you to understand the specifics of what this particular task is demanding you to do. Now, when you are doing this, at least for one of the personal issue, one of the local issue, and one of the global issue that you pick, that emerges from you, at least identify one or two links or citations that you can find. So, try to see if there is, for example, if any of you has been, if someone has been, say, abused or eve teased, and someone like that, then if you are, say, maybe highlighting that as an issue under this particular point or under this particular point, and then you're extrapolating that and looking at local, national, and then global, then you can identify one other person, another write-up online, a blog that maybe somebody has written about the same issue that you have also gone through or someone close to you has gone through. And you can put that as a citation here. Similarly, when you extrapolate it, can you identify a case study or a write-up or a video, YouTube video, any source, a media source for local, and the same for global. So that's the first task that you have to attempt to do. The second task is, which is something that I'd like for you to do right now, please, is I'm sending you a Padlet. Now, this Padlet has the following things. One second, let me take you to the Padlet. There you go. Here, it has GP related questions you want answered. So if you have any question that you would like to ask me, that you want me to cover in the next two workshops of the series, you can ask me those. You can put those questions down here. If there is any specific feedback, good or bad, that you would like for me to be mindful of or acknowledge, then you can put that here. And if you would like for me to correspond with you on a regular basis, I'm hoping to kind of have a community of people who are who want to learn from each other as well. And there is a wealth of knowledge that is there in this group with the kind of experience that each of us has. And it'll be nice if maybe in the future we can have, say, maybe Sunaina ma'am take a workshop, or Palak take a workshop, or Nishtha take a workshop, and all of us can then be a part of that workshop. So that would be something that I would like to do. So for that, if you would like to put in your name, you can put your name here. I will remove the Padlet at the end of this particular workshop, so that your data stays only with me and this group of people, doesn't go out of this group. All right. So while you are putting the questions, feedback, and your name, email for learning and teaching related correspondence, while you are doing these three, if there are anything that you'd like to share with me or each other, this is a wonderful time for that. If not, then I would urge you to at least, write something under at least one of these three headings. Thank you, Rohini, for writing your name as well. That allows me
Vishwa,
to, yeah.
sir,
Yeah.
I have a question here. So I just wanted to, I mean, it might sound lame because I am teaching the CBSC right now, and I know for a matter of fact that GP is a CIE subject, and but if we are taking it up, the strategies at least, because at Kunz we are doing that. Even though I am teaching CBSE, there are strategies, there is report writing, podcasts in theme subjects, especially like EVS and social studies. So, will that also be, counted as an experience if I'm planning to move towards, teaching GP? Because I know the strategies. I've been working with the group of students. It's just that it's CBSE. It's not IGCSE.
That's a I don't know the answer of that question. I remember when I started teaching global perspectives, I had no experience of teaching global perspectives at all. I had no experience.
Absolutely.
But I was in a school which allowed me to explore, and I had at that time I had with me grade 8 and grade 9. So we had not offered global perspectives to grade 10. We had offered it to grade 8 and to grade 9. So I knew that I had 1 year to kind of figure my way and then take it forward from there. But different schools will look at it from a different point of view. Hopefully this certificate that you will gain at the end of this 3-part workshop, along with your confidence when you go and talk to a school, should allow for them to feel convinced that you are a viable candidate for global perspectives. That's what I am hoping for. So I have attended only one workshop in my life on global perspectives, which was also several years back. The course has changed at least 2 times since then, since the time that I attended the Cambridge workshop. So, but even then, I feel confident about being able to teach global perspectives and do it relatively well. So it's like that essentially.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for answering my question.
Essentially, I feel that it is easier for me as an English teacher to teach global perspectives because my style of teaching English is close to the style of teaching. Ultimately, the purpose of language is also to form perspectives, right? If that's the case,
Absolutely.
yeah, right. If that's the case, whether you are teaching language or whether you're teaching global perspectives, ultimately you are going through the same. You're building the same kind of experience for your students. The only difference is that in English, you will focus on the mechanics of writing and the skill of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. The skill part of that will come. Whereas in global perspectives, the skill of research and writing a well-documented, well-researched, properly cited paper, research paper, individual and group work, that's the skill that you are ultimately building towards or making. So the focus of the skill is different, but as a teacher the experience that I have to build is similar, at least in my case. That's how I felt when I was teaching. So as you being a language teacher, I strongly feel would find it much easier to transition or to hold global perspectives as a subject as well for your students.
Because that's why I wanted to ask, because of course, thank you for connecting both the subjects that I'm taking right now. I am taking English as well as I am teaching SST. So it's equally two sections of English and two sections of social studies. So that's what I wanted to know, that how can I connect both of them. Of course, the skills that you have talked about, I'm working with both the skills: reading and comprehension, creative writing, listening, speaking, as well as when it comes to my SST sessions, there is research, there is group work, and there is a skill of analyzing the text and dwelling deeper into the topic. So all those things are there. But thank you for connecting that for me, and I'll just keep it in mind.
Absolutely. One thing that you can do in younger grades also is personal projects. Now, personal projects is a part of the IB board. In IB board in grade 8, in high school, they've got the idea of personal projects. I think that's what they call it, I think. Or maybe they've changed the name, but they have an idea like that. Personal projects is a great place to start when you are approaching global perspectives in the higher grades. So in grade 4, 5, and 6, each child can have their own personal project. And personal project can be something as specific as why I like wearing boys' clothes and not girls' clothes. A grade 3 child can have a personal project on trying to understand why she is more comfortable wearing boys' clothes and not girls' clothes. Why she doesn't, or why she hates wearing skirts. Why she hates the school uniform. Maybe that will be something that she will look into. So personal, but then you go through the entire thing. You look at other people's perspectives. You talk to a few people. You watch a few movies, documentaries, read a few books, read a few narratives that are written about self-expression to kind of form a view. And then you present. You come in front of a group of experts, like external audiences who will come into, so maybe you will invite 3 parents or 5 parents to come and sit as a bench, and these students have to then come and present what they have uncovered in the course of completing the personal project through a presentation. And along with the presentation, they have to give a portfolio, they have to give a research log, they have to submit a reflective journal maybe. So those 3 will be what you call the relics or the evidences, along with the presentation and the research paper that they will be writing at the end. So that is one thing that I know some schools do very well. It directly tunes into the global perspectives idea later on, because in global perspective, you are looking at yourself from the lens of pre-selected topics. Okay. Whereas in key stage 1 or in key stage 2, whenever you are doing personal projects, at that time, you are looking at your own issues and linking it to a topic. The topic is not determined, your research is not determined by the topic. The topic is determined by your interests. That's how the connection is. Whereas in the case of in grade 8, 9, and 10, when you're doing global perspectives, the topics are pre-decided. The broad topics are pre-decided. What you select within those topics is based on your dialogue with your teacher, your dialogue with each other, your class, where you live, what part of the country you stay in. So it depends on those things. All right. So with that, we will be closing this session for now. I hope that you were able to find this session worthwhile, and we shall most certainly continue with it. We will let you know probably this weekend we can have the next 2 hours of session, and then probably the following week we can have the next 2 hours. So we can kind of complete the 3 hours very quickly. All right. Thank you so much.
I got logged out. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Absolutely, Vishwa, and I would like to leave because I am running short of time.
Absolutely.
We'll see you in the next session. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And for everybody else also, thank you so much. I'll let you know when I have the next session. You are free to get in touch with me to know what the timings are for the next session. It will probably be this weekend, probably Saturday or Sunday. Again, a 2-hour session. And then we'll probably go a little deeper into what we are supposed to do and how we plan for global perspectives. Yeah. The ones who have a question or who would like to stay on to ask a few other questions can stay. Others are more than free to leave. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir.
All right. If there are any questions from any of you that you'd like to ask now, please feel free to.
Yes, Vishwa sir. Like, okay. I wanted to find out not exactly about GP, but I also wanted to figure out about what is 9th and 10th really involved in terms of economics, accounts, and like how do they group up together? Because I was just going through the site as you took us through it. I saw accounts also there. I saw economics also there. I saw business studies also there, which is all in IB, comes much later, probably in the 11th and 12th grades. How does these group into one inside this? Is there a rough idea as to how many subjects it takes? Okay, so I understood. Like I also went through the Rubai Ambani site where I saw they take between till 12 subjects the kids do and do whatever the grouping that is required. So if someone were to be homeschooled, so I'm coming from a very point of homeschooling someone. So where does this thing sit in, like, and is it worthwhile at all trying to explore that part of
you can
Cambridge?
No, absolutely. I think you can a student can appear as an independent candidate for a few subjects, but the student would still have to have one center, an examination center. So all the correspondence for that student will happen from that student center, exam center. So, like Riverside is an exam center. Then I'm sure Heritage is an exam center. So the parents have to go to, or the student has to go to the school, even if they are homeschooling, and they have to apply for it and say that, you know what, as you are the exam center, I would like to apply for this, and this subject as an independent candidate. And for that, I will pay $60. I think $60 is the fees for the exam. So I'll be paying that fees. Most schools try that by the end of grade 12, students have what is called the ICE diploma, AICE, ICE diploma. That's what they aim for. Most schools aim for that. And ICE diploma means that you have to have at least a bare minimum of 5 core subjects and then 2 additional subjects. So it reaches 7 subjects that you have to take over the course of 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. There is no, again, everything in Cambridge board is prescriptive. So, which means that a grade 9 student can also sit for a grade 10 exam. And a grade 10 student can also sit for an AS level exam. You can complete certain A-star A-level exams in grade 11 itself, so that you are free to pursue other subjects in grade 12. So all that flexibility is there. Just that, in most schools, they do have a very clear predefined path. But again, I am of the opinion that students should be allowed to, there should be some deliberation between students and the admissions in charge and the teachers to kind of arrive at what their academic plan is going to be. What school will they want to apply to at the end of grade 10? Some students can apply. So for example, if you're going for CA, you can go immediately after 10th. You don't have to sit for 11th.
So that's where my thought really came from. When I saw those things, I said, like, why am I even, like, if someone's interested in those, The subject seems to be right there in 9 and 10, and you can just keep moving from the foundation exams.
Absolutely.
You don't have to bother about really finishing the other part.
Absolutely.
And you can do something more worthwhile with life, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably see the world.
See the world. That's a very, very important thing. You don't have to take a gap year to explore the world.
Exactly.
You can explore the world, completing it. So
I'll just explore.
Yeah. That is something that is totally possible. And there are students who explore this option and have explored that option in the past. It takes some amount of research from the academic counselor and the admissions in charge and whatever, like those people. They have to kind of do the work for the students to some extent and then kind of take it forward from there. But that's a very, very valid question though. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much. Sorry to the others if I hijacked, and if you had specific questions on GP, this came up on my mind.
That is so
I'll leave Vishwa. I'll see.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Vishwa sir. I'll see you in the next session then.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ramesh sir. All right. So Ramya ma'am, Shraddha ma'am, Nancy ma'am, Premvati ma'am, I like your name a lot. Are there any questions that you have that you would like to ask? Ma'am, you are on mute. So in case you are speaking, I'm not able to hear you. All right. So I am assuming that there are no questions from the 4 participants who are still here. So in which case, I'd like to close the session and thank you for coming and thank you for staying for this long as well. I appreciate your desire to want to learn on a holiday. So thank you and I shall see you soon. All right. Bye-bye.